I actually forgot to turn off my do not disturb, so I'm gonna do that right now. Perfect. Okay, welcome. Happy Friday, guys. I hope that you guys are doing well. And as I was thinking about this live, one thing that came to my mind was just how crazy a week it has been in this world. I mean, the people who went down in the submarine and who, unfortunately did not come back up. Or here in Toronto, there was an accident on the 401, which is a major highway, and people lost their lives. And so I'm just thinking about it like, wow, I'm at the end of another week, and I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful to be in my right mind. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to come and share something that has been a lesson to me throughout the week, and I'm grateful for this moment and this opportunity. So hopefully as you're coming to the end of your week, you're also just looking at the things that you can be grateful for, because honestly there's always something. There is always something. And I asked you guys yesterday, as I'm going live today, what is something that you would rather me talk about? This is, you know what, let me start over. Excuse my manners, I didn't even introduce myself. So my name is Stephanie Kerr, and if this is the first time you're watching one of my live videos, then just to explain what I do in these lives, I share a lesson from the week. And so yesterday I asked you guys what you wanted to hear more about, whether it was transparency, in terms of, actually no, I asked you guys, would you rather hear about showing up in terms of physical appearance or showing up in terms of consistency? That was number one. And then the other one that I had asked you guys about was, would you rather hear about forgiveness or about honesty? So you guys, like across the board, you said, I'd rather hear about consistency in terms of showing up. And the other one, you guys said you would rather hear about honesty. So I have two lessons from the week that I'm going to share, and hopefully we'll be able to just speak to you where you are. So in terms of consistency, this week, I'm actually going to use these lives as an example. I actually just started coming back and doing lives again a couple weeks ago. Like, it has not been a long time at all. However, I've already received messages from people letting me know that they're really happy that I'm back posting content online, and that the encouragement is needed, and that it seems like I'm in my element. And it's only been a couple of weeks. And so that is just a reminder to me, Stephanie, while you were gone, whatever you were supposed to bring to this space, to people's lives, to their Friday afternoons, to whatever time you're doing lives, it ceased to exist in their lives while you were doing what you were doing, while you were focusing on what you were focusing on. And that was a lesson for me. That was a reminder for me that when God has given us something to do, whenever we decide for whatever reason we're not going to do it, someone is missing out on the value that that was supposed to bring to their lives. And as I was thinking about this live, one of the example that just popped in my head, I don't know, maybe there's someone watching this and God has placed it on your heart to be a doula, to be a midwife, to help women as they are ushering life into this world. And you've decided that because it's been a challenging time with your studies, you're not going to pursue it. You're not going to be consistent in that area. You're not going to continue showing up. But you not showing up is going to affect all the lives of the women you were supposed to help. It's going to affect all the children that you were supposed to help bring into this world. It's going to affect the other people who you were supposed to train as midwives, right? So our decision to not be consistent is going to affect other people. And I know that a lot of times people look at themselves and they think, you know what, it doesn't really matter if I show up. No one's going to notice. It's not making a big deal. I don't have much to say. I don't have much to bring. But that's actually just a lie of the enemy. He wants you to think that you showing up doesn't make a difference. He wants you to think that whether you continue with your studies and are consistent there, whether you are consistent in pouring into your family, whether you are consistent in showing up online for me, whether you are consistent in doing whatever it may be, that it doesn't actually make a difference, right? That's what he wants you to think, that it doesn't make a difference. But that's not true. It's absolutely not true. And one of the stories that I heard recently, and I'm trying to remember her name. I believe her name is Esther Onkim. And I don't want to mess up her story, so I'm not going to try and recount her life. But what I will say about her story is that she had a positive impact in the lives of so many people as a Christian missionary in Japan, I believe, right? She had a positive impact in the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And the reason she was even Christian was because a missionary came, spoke to her mom, instilled Christian principles into her mom, and then her mom then raised her, and she also embraced Christian principles, and then just went on to just be a blessing to the whole entire world. And so sometimes we feel like, you know what, my impact is not that big, I only impacted one person. But how do you know what that one person is going to end up doing? Sometimes, especially in this social media culture, we feel like if the numbers aren't there, the impact isn't there. But that's just not true. Because there's people who, let's say they post a video of a cat and the cat's doing something crazy and there's 1 million views on that video. Was anyone's life changed because of that cat? Maybe. I'm not sure. But the truth of the matter is, hello. The truth of the matter is, as long as you're doing what God has called you to do, the impact and what that looks like is not up to you. It's just for us to be consistent. It's just for us to do whatever God has placed on our heart to do. And so that was a lesson that I had to be reminded of this week, because this content schedule that I'm now on is actually one that God gave me last year. And because life was happening and so many different things were going on, I wasn't really consistent with it. But it doesn't mean that the blessings that I was waiting for wouldn't have been unlocked if I had been consistent. And it also doesn't mean that while I was away, just doing what I was doing, that people weren't in need of what God placed on my heart to share. So that was lesson number 1 from this week. Being consistent is important, not just because it helps you to build trust in you just keeping your word to yourself. Like, I said I was going to do this and I actually followed through and did it. But it also is going to touch other people. Even if they don't ever come to you and tell you that it touched them, it will have an impact on them. And this week, I actually just by chance had people actually come to me and tell me, hey, I'm glad to see you back online. I'm glad to see you posting. It's doing this for me. It's doing that for me. But even if they hadn't come and said anything, I would know that I'm in God's will, and that should be enough. Essentially, that should be enough. I heard my friend say a couple years ago at this point, she was doing Instagram lives for her business to just, I guess build her brand, connect with her audience. And she said, I'm actually going to stop doing the lives because nobody shows up. And I remember hearing her say that, and I thought to myself, I don't know if that makes much sense. So you're going to stop putting out the valuable content because no one's showing up. But what if the valuable content is supposed to build you so that when you have an opportunity to show up, you have so much practice doing Instagram lives, you have so much practice being in front of the camera, you have so much practice getting a thought together and then delivering it to an audience. What if the consistency was actually supposed to grow you? What if this is actually God's mercy that people are not watching your lives because they're not very great right now? But how is it that you're going to get better if you just stop doing them? And so, mind you, she didn't end up continuing doing the lives, but it's just a reminder to us that sometimes the work is not quote unquote working for us, but it's working on us. And that's another part of consistency. There's a Bible verse in the book of Proverbs that says, every man will proclaim his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find. There's a lot of us going around thinking that we are really good at this or we're really good at that. But the truth of the matter is, we're not as faithful, we're not as consistent as we should be with the things that are in front of us. And yet, we're looking around and wondering why we don't have more. But we haven't even been consistent with what was in front of us. And so that's lesson number one about consistency. And I don't know what the thing is for you. I know what the things are for me, where God is like, Stephanie, you got to be consistent. You got to do it. And so I'm just like, okay, I will do it. And hopefully, as you think about your own life and as you think about, like, what are the areas that I haven't been as consistent as I need to be, and just like getting back on track. Like, God's so merciful, he's so gracious. If he recognizes that there's something that he wanted you to be consistent in and you stop for whatever reason, he's not gonna take something and hit you over the head with it. He's just gonna be like, okay, are you done wandering off? Are you back on track with me? And he will give you the words to speak. He will give you the stamina you need to complete your program. He will give you the grace you need to again show up as the family member that he needs you to be, as whatever it is. He will give you what you need. You just have to ask for it. And he will give you the grace to be consistent, because faithfulness is what he desires. In the end, what we're looking to hear is, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Not good and famous servant. Not good and world-renowned servant. Those things may come, as well as they may not come. But as long as you are faithful in what God gave you, that should be enough. So that was lesson number one. Lesson number two from this week is about honesty. It's about honesty. And there was two moments that were quite interesting this week in terms of honesty. And I'm just wondering where the grace to run the race. Yes, he will give you the grace to run the race, whatever race he has you on. He's not going to leave you without what it takes to complete the race that he has put before you. So that was, like I said, lesson number one. And lesson number two was about honesty, or the second thing that I'm going to talk about today. And my birthday was last month, and somebody decided that they wanted to take me out for my birthday. And so I had agreed, yeah, that's okay. Let's go do something for my birthday. And they had just thought of just a plan that we could do, something we could go out and do. And we had rescheduled once. And the second time we rescheduled for was this past Sunday. So Saturday rolls around, and I had a pretty crazy day on Saturday. And so I'm telling them about it, and I say to them, I actually don't think I'm up to like going out tomorrow. And not just that, but the idea, like, I don't know if it's something I really want to do. And so they were like, okay. And they understood. Or so, you know what? I'm going to say they understood. And then Monday rolls around, and they actually let me know, you know what? Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Monday rolls around. Just a comment here. Good and faithful, not good and famous. I like that. And then the other comment says here, happy belated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, so back to the story. So I let them know on Saturday night, you know what, I'm not really up for it. There's just been so much going on in my world that sometimes the idea of going out to have fun isn't fun. I'm just like, nah, man, I don't know if I have it in me. And so I told them that. And so Monday rolls around now, and they actually follow up with me, and they let me know, hey, I had planned for us to go out and to do this. And if you didn't want to do it, you should have let me know at the very beginning, because I don't have a lot of free time. And not only do I not have a lot of free time, but again, from the very beginning, if that's not something you were open to, you should have let me know, so I could have just maybe cancel the plans, rearrange my schedule, and be able to do something with this day off that I had. And so I let them know, you know, I apologize. Like, it wasn't my intention to cause you to feel like your time's not valuable or anything like that. And so we have this conversation, and they were honest with me. Welcome, Hannah. You actually crossed my mind earlier today. You crossed my mind. And I hope you're doing well. I hope your family's doing well. I hope the kids are doing well. But yes, so they have that conversation with me, and they tell me that my canceling of the plans, like last minute, really impacted them negatively, and they didn't want to be upset about it, but it was still something that was it just wasn't sitting well with them. And so they came and they told me, and I actually appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that they came and told me, because I've been in other just friendships, relationships, whatever, that something bothers the person, they say nothing about it for like 3 years, but they're upset about it for the whole 3 years. Right? So I would much rather that people are just honest and say like, hey, I actually didn't love this. Help me understand why this happened. Can you explain? Whatever the case is, right? Just communication. And so the next day, Tuesday, I was supposed to hang out with a friend of mine. And I was kind of in the same mood where I was just like, yeah, I don't really know if I want to go out. However, based on the conversation I had the night before, I didn't think it was the best time to like cancel at the last minute. So I was just like, you know what, let me just suck it up. Sometimes you don't want to go out, but you go out and you actually enjoy yourself. I guess someone's doing some construction on the street or something. But anyways, yeah, you just go out and you still enjoy yourself. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go. So Tuesday rolls around, and I am just about to head home so that I can just put down my stuff real quick and head back out to meet my friend. And she texts me and she's like, hey, can I call you in 30 minutes? And I was like, well, I'm going to be on the road in 30 minutes, but yeah, I can definitely like send you a message. And so when I get home, she calls me and she's like, hey, I really don't mean to cancel. I don't mean to treat you like I don't value your time, but it's just been a crazy week and I'm not going to be able to hang out today. And I was just like, you too? Like, I actually wanted to say the same thing. Be honest. I wanted to be honest, but for whatever reason, I felt like my honesty would be a problem, or my honesty wouldn't come at the right time. But what I learned this week in situation number 1, which was, hey, if you didn't want to go from the very beginning, you should have just said that. And then number 2, it's that honesty, as soon as you know that you're not able to attend, that it's not a good fit for you, or whatever the case is, it's just best to communicate it, right? Don't feel like your honesty, people can't handle it. Don't feel like people can't or don't want to hear your honesty, because that just may not be the case. And so those were the 2 lessons from the week that you guys had chosen in terms of the 4 options that I gave about consistency. So for those of you who are just joining towards the end, it was just the lesson that I'm taking away from this week, a reminder to be consistent, to show up, to never feel like just because, for example, you may not have as many people on your live as someone else, that you don't need to show up. That's not what it's about. It's about, did you show up to do the thing that you said you would do? Are you building self-trust because you said you would do something and you actually followed through with it, right? Just being consistent and remembering, being reminded of the fact that when we're inconsistent, it affects other people. When we say we're going to show up and we don't show up, it affects other people. When we say we're going to be something and we don't show up to be that thing, it affects other people. So that was lesson number 1. And then lesson number 2 was just about honesty. It is always best to be honest. And I'm going to end this live because it seems like they're doing construction. But it is just always best to be honest with the people around you. Just trust that they can handle your honesty. Trust that whatever's on your heart, the right people will be able to receive, and it will actually work out in the end. So my name is Stephanie Kerr, and thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back next week Friday with another Seasons with Stef.